Okay. At this time, what I'd like to do is to go through each proposal and discuss it for a short period. Yes, I'm sorry.
Can we do something? Can we just have people call out the ones that they have an issue with, and then everything else will just approve by a single vote? And then we'll only focus on those ones where people have exceptions.
Okay. And in other words, what you're saying is,
Approve everything.
So we can hear.
I said, I asked if we could just approve everything except for the articles where people have exceptions. That way we'll just focus our time on those that have exceptions rather than having to review each other ones individually.
so the ones that have heartburn vote on that, and everything else that there's no heartburn gets approved.
One-
Is that-
one
Open the two, Kes.
One vote.
Yeah, point of order, this is not about the bylaws, but there's a historical error on page 1, paragraph 3. And this is the time to fix it, if you don't
Okay.
mind. There was no such thing as the UAV prior to World War II. So that second sentence at the first, where is it? I'm sorry, second paragraph. After World War I, individual Ukrainian American Veterans Incorporated posts were organized. That's not a true statement.
Uh,
After World War I, individual
Okay,
Ukrainian
got it. So-
American
Right, got it.
Veterans organized posts. Something like that. But
So how should that be worded?
said after World War I, there were individual Ukrainian American
Get
veterans
rid,
posts.
get rid of the ink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and lowercase v for veterans.
Okay. That was just a straight from the last one.
Yeah, I know it was,
Good time to make corrections. Let's talk about people's heartburn. Let's do it.
Okay, the first one up is on page, well, go ahead. Who's got the first heartburn to bring it up?
yeah, page 3 about the, I do,
Okay,
about letting in public health service and NOAA. Their uniform.
Are there any others before we jump into that? I'm sorry, this way, we get one vote on the arrest. So are there any other objections to any other paragraphs?
Just take it down.
So do you have an exception that you'd like to talk about? That way we can just vote on everything else in one vote and then focus all our time on anything that people have exceptions. So if you, anything you object to of what we've covered already, call it out now. And then we'll vote on everything else as one vote, and then we'll just focus our time on whatever we have an exception for. So do you have an exception that you would like to discuss?
Yeah, I'm talking, you interrupted me.
Sorry, sir.
go ahead, sir.
That's it, the only one.
Yeah, well, obviously, let me explain, okay. They are not members of the military, they wear
We can't hear you.
uniforms, they have some, all right. All right, let me get up there. First of all, I want to commend the judge
Sir, can you
advocate
turn
for
this
for an
microphone on?
excellent rewrite of the bylaws and constitution. He did an excellent job. You could tell his heart was in it and he did great. You did. Yeah, so it's, my exception is on page 3, section 1, veteran, section 1B, 1 Bravo. You know, I got great respect for NOAA and the public health service, but there are civilians wearing military type uniforms. They're not members of the armed forces. They are not veterans. They do not get DD 214s. And you know, how many of them actually serve of Ukrainian heritage, in those two organizations? You know, probably very few. And I get where you're going with this, Judge Advocate. But we're a veterans organization, okay? They're not veterans, you know, as simple as that. So I object to this and I would not vote for this.
Correction, they are veterans.
They are not veterans, sir.
They are veterans, sir.
Read Title 10, United States Code.
Veterans Administration acknowledges them.
I don't
as
care what they
veterans.
say, they're not veterans. You know, show me that in writing.
The
Show
veterans,
me that in writing. I'd like to see it in writing. Okay?
okay, I mean, hang on
Point
a
of
second.
order, point of
They
order.
are veterans.
Yeah, you say, I don't, I say they are not.
There is a review by a JAG lawyer, sir. Are you a JAG lawyer?
Let me tell you something, Colonel. I ran military records and veterans records for the state of Massachusetts
I
for
understand, sir.
25 years. I think I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I understand this lawyer also knows what he's talking about, and he verifies that they are veterans according to the Veterans Administration.
Mr.
Show me that in law. I want to see that in law.
Point of
It's
order,
not an opinion.
point of order.
Acknowledge.
The objection has been noted. We shall proceed. At the end of the going through it, reviewing the bylaws, we will have a vote. Membership will vote. If they get the, was it the 3/5 vote to approve it, then it shall be approved, regardless of individual comments. If the membership votes not to approve, then that's the end of that. So why don't we just continue with the next?
I make a motion that we put this to a vote, so we can get this over with.
Let me
We've had
finish
this-
also.
Let me finish,
Go ahead, go ahead.
okay?
Right,
We've had this discussion on previous conventions, we've gone over this numerous times, and I think everybody has an opinion here, and we can put this to bed with a vote. The other thing is, it was stated that both the VFW and American Legion do not consider these people as vets, and they are currently not considered vets in both those organizations. I don't see
Correct, sir.
why we should.
Let me caveat that. I spoke to the Veterans Administration, not Veterans, the VFW. They are gonna bring that proposal next year at their convention to a vote,
That's fine.
okay? So
Right.
let me caveat that again, sir. Why should they be leading the way? Why don't we lead the way and show them that we've done that ahead of them? Okay? Why be a follower? Why not be a leader?
I make a motion
We don't have
that
a federal charter to begin with, number one.
I'm sorry, sir?
We don't have a federal charter, so how are they gonna follow us?
Example, we don't need a federal charter for them to follow us as an example.
So why are
We're-
you following them then?
We're not following them, we're leading.
You just
If we,
said-
if we
you said
appoint
you're
this, we're leading.
Yeah, you're leading, that's what you said.
Yeah,
But if the VFW doesn't vote for it, then what?
if that's up to them. I don't control the VFW. What I'm saying here is, one second, please. What I'm saying here is, right now, our membership is dwindling. And I don't know how many we can get in. If we get in one, fine. If we get in a dozen, fine. But look around you, right?
It's right across the board with everybody.
That's
American
true.
Legion,
That's true.
the VFW.
That's true.
Okay, so I mean, what's the problem?
That's true. But why not look at expanding instead of shrinking? One second, please. Joe. There's a motion back, or hand up there. Go ahead.
I don't, I hear what the general is saying, and I hear what you're saying, but you have,
Louder.
I hear what the general is saying, and I see where Abington's saying. And you're saying that the veterans do say that NOAA and are veterans.
That's the
VA.
The Veterans Administration acknowledges NOAA and Public Health
If
Service
we
as
have-
veterans.
If that's true,
Yes, it
and
is.
it's in writing, then it isn't an issue. But if we're gonna vote on it and say, yes, we're gonna accept them, and then somebody's gonna say, oh, look, it never said that. So are we gonna cross them out?
The issue here is that you have, under the Veterans Administration, you have 8 uniformed services. 6 of those are armed forces. 2 of those are non-armed forces. They, in time of war, they are incorporated into the armed forces.
No,
They
they're
have,
not. No, they're not. That's not a correct statement. They are not.
they have been militarized, have they not?
World War One,
World War II.
no,
How about Vietnam?
no,
They have never served?
no. They're not veterans. They never
I-
served on active duty.
Armed
forces.
what I've seen, they haven't. What I've read, they've had. Hang on.
Listen, I've been doing this for 40 years. I think I know what I'm talking about.
I'm
You
sure-
can find what you want on the internet. Doesn't make it
We
right.
have a vote. We're gonna have a vote. That's how it's gonna be resolved. We can discuss it until we turn blue in the van.
Go ahead, go, Joe. I'm acknowledging Joe right now, please.
So, I know that you looked this up and looked up the veteran administrations, and the general has asked for you to give the reference to that. Can you do that now? So to put that to rest.
Is that this opinion right here?
That's right. That was written by a JAG officer.
Would you mind?
Take a look at it.
So what? It was written by the JAG officer. So what?
That's a legal opinion, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's his opinion.
He's under the Reserve Officer Association.
That's
I don't
still
care.
just an opinion.
It's an opinion.
Well,
It doesn't, it's not a law. It's not a law.
in a USC code?
it is under USC code. I have to pull it off the USC code and define that for you. But,
Well,
If you look up, under the Veterans Administration and what they define as a veteran, the Public Health Service and the NOAA people are considered veterans. Are they not, sir?
I've never seen that in writing, no.
Well, no, this actually does, this does actually reference Title 10.
But you gotta read it.
Can't see because of what I was holding.
You gotta read, yeah, I know, but that's an opinion, that's not law.
It seems that all groups don't accept this, only a few do, and, but not all the military groups, that's what
No,
Len, I think, is trying to say.
there are two military groups right now, the Veterans Administration, the American Legion and the VFW, right? Those are the two main veterans groups in the United States, correct?
Not organizations.
Organizations. The American Legion right now has said they do not. And on word I've talked to the VA, the VFW, they have said they're putting this as a proposal forward at the 2025 convention. Now,
What if they
Whether-
turn it down?
if they shoot it down, they shoot it down. They can.
It's not conclusive, that's the problem, so we can't vote on something until we know. it's
Well,
accepted by
Well, I'm not depending on the VFW for their opinion. What I'm telling you right now is what we need to
You're
do.
totally entitled, General, to anybody. So it is.
Go ahead, Mr. Coach.
You mentioned VFW, American Legion. I also belong to the MOAA.
The MOAA acknowledges them as veterans.
Correct. Okay, I'm just.
Right,
Start with-
correct. The MOAA does acknowledge them as veterans.
No, it doesn't. No, I'm a member of MOA, and it admits them as members, not the same thing.
Why does MOA admit them as members then?
That's up to MOA.
That's up to us.
No, that's right. It is.
That's up to us.
We've got to have a vote.
What's that?
I found a document from the VA that says that they're veterans, according to the VA. On
Read
VA.gov.
read the document.
You gotta read it.
Well, first,
You gotta read it.
Maybe the same document.
Let them read it out loud.
I mean, I could
Go
bring the
ahead.
document up.
Well, again, a lively debate is always a good thing in any organization, but I'm just trying to caution us that we should behave.
Civilly, yeah, behaving.
By the way, I'm not saying.
Please go ahead.
I'm just saying in general, I don't want things to start getting a little too like.
We gotta go for a vote.
Active service members are veterans. You look at the very first paragraph, it doesn't say active members, active service members. So that should be changed also now. Read the first paragraph. And what's it say? You're not talking about. spouse.
Go ahead.
It doesn't say anything about active members.
Listen up for the LT.
Members of the post.
Okay, according to VA.gov, an individual may also be eligible if he or she was on full-time duty as a commissioned officer of the regular or reserve corps of the Public Health Service, or on full-time duty as a commissioned officer of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or its predecessor organization, the Coast and Geodetic Survey. Service can be for any length of time, but must be more than just for.
So commissioned officer service that have successfully retired from the VA or from the Public Health Service are considered veterans. They get all the same veterans benefits that every military person gets.
But they are not veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces.
I didn't say that they're veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces.
That is my point.
Okay.
That's the relevant
Okay.
section.
Can we vote on this?
So a merchant marine, Marine, World War II are considered veterans, but they never served a day in the military.
Are they not militarized in World War II?
No, they were civilians,
Okay,
But
But did they come into the VA?
Too, aren't they?
only 25 years ago.
okay. I'm talking about today.
No,
Are the Public Health Service under the VA?
that's not the right question.
Is the
Rephrase
Public
that
Health Service
question.
under the VA?
No, they're a separate agency under the.
No, Public Health Service, do they get VA benefits? Are they considered
No, not
veterans
on
by
active duty, no,
the Public Health Service?
not on active duty. If they're on
Commission-
duty now, they don't get VA benefits.
Commissioned officers, when they
When
retire,
they retire, that's the key.
Right.
That's not what you asked me.
well, I'm saying when they retire, are they considered VA veterans?
I guess you're telling me they are.
I am, yes.
Small b, not a capital B.
I'm calling for a vote. Okay?
I second the motion.
Let's vote on it.
I move to table the vote and let's go on with our business and then we can have a vote at the conclusion of this.
The only contentious issue right now is this one paragraph. Is that correct with everybody?
Let's
Okay.
vote on the entire document, okay?
No, we're not. We have a
No,
motion on the
What's
floor.
happening right now is they will vote on this one motion on this particular item.
Correct.
Right,
If that motion passes, it gets incorporated. If it fails, it doesn't get incorporated.
fine.
The rest of the document, right now, as I understand it from this group, will be approved. Is that correct?
We'll still have.
Separate vote.
Before the vote.
No, we're talking about right now. The only contentious issue is this document here. What I'm saying is there are no other issues that have been brought up against the document. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So what Joe Nasevich said was that if there are no other issues with the document gets approved by the group. Is
What I-
that correct?
What I actually asked for was that we vote separately on it. We
All
vote,
right, I'm sorry. Correct.
we
I
vote
stand
on
corrected.
everything else except for the contentious section, which would have its own separate vote.
Okay,
So we would have two votes in this
all right.
case.
Vote.
So we have a motion on the floor for general Kudrychuk.
In this particular, that section.
Yes, and it's the, basically the objection by General Kudrychuk to the proposed paragraph 2 of
Right.
section
Paragraph
one,
B.
Article 6, section 1, proposed section 1B,
Okay,
correct?
The vote I is to approve it, A is to deny it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the vote, how many?
By hand,
Better yet by hand.
by hand,
Right.
secret
vote.
No, by hand.
no, by hand.
okay, so let's
So
vote.
what's the motion?
Call it.
We just
No,
said
the
it.
motion is the proposed by the committee of the bylaws as presented by the judge advocate, the proposed Article 6, Section 1B, paragraph. A vote aye is to accept it, a vote nay is to.
By hand.
By hand.
So anybody who votes to accept it, please should put your hands up.
Who's counting?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's,
Ehor voted 16. Eric and Peter, what's your vote?
Nay.
Peter votes against. Eric, what's your vote? Votes, aye for Eric.
so 16.
Aye.
Thank you, Eric.
How many nay?
I said nay.
And Peter. And
So
Peter,
11 nay.
Peter is a nay.
Motion passes.
Well,
Wait,
no, is it supposed to be 2/3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
11 plus 16 is 27.
Fails.
So it fails.
Fails,
unfortunately,
okay,
by-
in this
by
stricken.
several votes. By the way, just as a point of order, oh, Joe,
I move that we approve the rest of the, changes as they were written and presented.
I'll second that.
You can't do that until you determine that, whether the building.
Determined.
The chair decides the passage or the failure.
He just did.
well, no, that was me as the commander. Actually, the judge advocate is the
Correct.
one that's the final word. And we did already discuss that it would have to be a 2/3 vote. And the 2/3 vote fails.
Correct.
Okay.
So the paragraph 1 or paragraph B is deleted from the document.
Right.
And what I want to remind everybody, not that I'm trying to interrupt you, Joe, people have the right to join any committee that they're invited to, and everybody has the right, you know, for in the future to change our organization, however our organization needs to be changed. But we also have the right to have our opinions, and up until now, it's always been the armed forces, and that's what we've decided at the convention that we're going to continue with. So now we have a motion and was seconded to approve the rest of the proposed changes from the bylaws committee.
Yep.
How many vote aye?
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. Anybody nay?
Nope.
All right.
Eric, your vote?
Peter voted aye.
Time and.
I'm sorry,
effort
yes
in
or
this,
no, Peter?
Yes, yes.
It's unanimous online as well.
Eric, aye.
It should be done.
Okay, guys.
Just remember, when it comes to, the origin of common law, it started by William the Conqueror, where they used to have decisions made by combat, whoever won was right. So we've gotten a little bit better. I give people credit, and by the way, like, I want to emphasize, everybody gets gets a vote, and everybody has the right to have an opinion. So,
Only in America.
If we're gonna resurrect the decision by combat, I'll take one side and little Pesci takes the other side.
Joe?
There were two other issues, weren't there? Weren't there two other proposals?
Yes, and thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I'm
There-
not moving forward yet,
yeah.
I'm waiting for you.
Great. Pull that up, paper. Here. There is a motion, all right. Last, I think, convention from 2 years ago, there was a motion to, incorporate the position of a national, registry, member to the National Executive Board. And that motion was passed by a vote, but the motion was never incorporated into the bylaws. And the position for the National Registry Officer was never defined. And since then, it has not been implemented. There is a motion to rescind that National Registry Officer's position that was voted by the 2021 convention, and to basically have the vice commander act as the collection authority for Veterans Administration, where he will then collect it and then turn it over to the National Historian for archiving after he has done his data, basically a data dump and data manipulation to track that. So there, what I'm offering or asking is for a secondary motion to approve the rescission of that position and to incorporate the actions into the company of the vice commander and the national historian. Yes.
All right, so we have a motion. Again, that was what the committee recommended. Do we have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Walter?
Just to clarify what the commander said, my understanding, okay? The Constitution and bylaws is our organizational Bible, okay? The National Registry Officer, which was voted upon, I think, 2021, I wasn't here then, 2021, never had defined duties. She
Right.
never submitted responsibilities. So once that vote was taken, nothing further occurred. And it is not within our constitution of that particular title. So, and finally, the duties believed to be given to the National Registry Officer already exists under National Historian. If you look at the duties of the National Historian, it's spelled out, and finally it says, data of value, responsible for preserving the UAV archives, and shall have other duties as shall be assigned to him and her by the National Commander. So the National Commander can assign to the historian whatever duties supposedly were assigned to the National Registry Officer that never came to be.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Walter. But it is interesting because we kind of demonstrated a couple hours ago that we've been stalled on this subject. This will get us moving again, and it would also, at the same time that the bylaws committee is cleaning up constitution and bylaws, we're also cleaning up that aspect.
Question. So now we have these registrations, they're very significant documents with personal information on them, going where? And from wherever they go, they're gonna go then to the historian?
It's gonna be collected, just like the roster, the master roster, it'll be collected by the vice commander, and the person that it'll repose with will be the historian. So the historian is the one that, let's say every quarter, whatever we decide,
Archive.
we'll get an archive of what the current state is. And remember, the whole purpose of registration was for us to collect data about Ukrainian American veterans, whether they're members of our organization or not. And if we still stay true to that and get out of this stalled status, then we'll be able to start up.
Yeah, I have a problem in that, Anna asked for DD 214s. There are socials on these things. Personal information that cannot just be going in a box in someone's house.
They have to be sanitized first before they get transmitted.
Well, let me just repeat, because I want everybody to hear it. What General Kundratjuk said was that the registration project, as it had been conducted previously, had asked for DD 214s. And on a DD 214, the soldier, airman, sailor, marine has a social security number, and that would have to be redacted. But we had also voted, I think it was 2 conventions ago, to not require DD 214s.
For an application.
For membership.
Correct,
Form separate from the registration form. The
correct.
registration form continues to have the requirement of the DD 214. So we're either gonna have to redefine what we're requiring as part of the registration project, or otherwise we have to consider how are we gonna handle this kind of material.
Well, any
Is that personal information?
any 214 that I would receive would have to get redacted from the information, like the social security number and the serial number, with the original getting shredded in the copied part, so you can't pull that back out.
You're not gonna destroy the original. That's the source document.
No,
You can redact it.
All right, I have somebody else, Nick.
Okay.
Well, the
Yeah, but they're probably sending me a copy anyway.
also have to consider that you really can't redact the social security number, because at our post, we had instances where a member passed. And they said, well, the funeral parlor says, if he's a veteran, we have to contact the casualty assistant officer in St. Louis so they can arrange for a funeral honor detail. But then if you give a DD 214 without a social security number, they have no way of cross-referencing that this number matches that. Sometimes you get that, so sometimes if you do give it to a funeral parlor and they forward it to the casualty assistant's office, then they could detail a honor guard or honor detail for the funeral.
When's the last time you ran into that problem? Because they've changed the regulation on that. And I'll tell you why, because Raman brought it up. It was either 2 or 3 conventions ago that for example, the American Legion, they don't require DD 214 unless you become an officer. And then what you do is you show it to them, but they're not supposed to store them as an archive document.
Yeah, this discussion really has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. These are documents in our possession that will go in our archives.
Correct. So we can do whatever we feel is.
Yeah,
correct.
but
Well, those-
sometimes the family cannot find their husbands or fathers DD 214 to present to the funeral home, to get a flag from the post office and arrange for a funeral.
So that happened recently? Because I thought.
That happened recently, so several times I had.
All right, so we're gonna have,
Well,
that'll have to be
let me
another.
comment here for a
I had
second.
to forward it to the funeral home, their DD 214s, so they could proceed with notifying the casualty assistance office.
How many DD 214s do you have?
We have basically for all our members.
How many?
Whoa.
We got 40 members. We have about 35, 38 DD 214s on file.
Is there a problem with you going to get those 214s back to those families to have them safe, keep it, and keep a copy that you can send in?
They sent us a copy of the DD 214s.
Okay,
They gave us an original, we made a copy, we scanned it, and we have it on digit scan. Copy. You know, okay.
is there any way you can get that hard copy back to the family so they can safe, keep it?
They
Just
have a copy, what we have is a copy of their original.
Okay, so then what I would suggest you do is notify the families, make sure that they're aware that they need to keep that 214 in a safe location. Put
Okay,
put on them.
Well, that doesn't happen all the time, sir.
Peter Benzak.
Go ahead, Peter.
Okay. To reiterate what, Mr. Levico is saying about the DD 214s and your comment about, can we get it back to the family and have the family hold it? You would be surprised. Many families do have the originals, and yet they call on us, or the funeral home calls on us and says, is there any way you can produce, because the family can't locate it? So you can tell the family to preserve it as best they can, but in the time of grief, they have no way of locating it. So that's why we maintain a copy for the family and for the funeral home, and it is only kept by one individual.
I understand what you're saying there, Peter, but the thing is that if this is an issue, we should be telling the family, hey, you need to put together someplace in a safe location, all the critical papers, for your parent or husband or wife or whatever the case may be, father, in a safe location. So when something does happen, you know where to go to get that information, those documents. I know it's a lot to ask, but it's just a simple thing of.
Well, we're gonna continue, Peter, again, we're gonna continue doing it our way, because that's just the way we're gonna do it here at Post 32 Chicago.
Is there
an objection to the way that we do it in Post 32?
No, because you're bouncing
No,
between Post and National.
No,
Post and National,
we're getting away from what the subject was.
The issue is, we're gonna be doing this. And where is these documents? My question is, how is it gonna be handled? Where is it gonna go? These are sensitive documents, and how are we gonna handle? We have no plan, just to say, oh, Roman's gonna get it, and then the historian's gonna get it.
How do you handle it at your location?
I thought at one time that Anna Kravchuk said, white out your social security number and just send in the document, and that was okay with everybody.
Yes, at one point, the registration officer, that's what she did. But again, I guess that was the question. So the issue is, how do we handle it? We're gonna have to come up with an SOP. So I don't think we need to discuss it.
I think there's a privacy issue here. I think the law requires us to inform anybody who provides personal information to us what we're going to do with it and how we're going to protect it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I understand the issue. Like, for example, in New Jersey, anybody can go to the county clerk with a DD 214 and they'll record it. That way, the family always has access to it because it's recorded in the county, the county of whatever, the vault or whatever you want to call it, the records.
Add something to the basic discussion of the office, the office we're trying to abolish. I was at the convention where we had the discussion, and the reason we wanted an officer responsible for the registration is a way to get Anna Kravchuk to give up her documents. Then the board would appoint a new registration officer. Anna would have no recourse. Okay, you're out. That's why we created that position back in 21, I guess.
Oh, yeah, because she wasn't on the executive board.
Right.
At that point. Well, what we're gonna,
What form did Anna Kravchuk ask the veterans to fill out before she requested the form that we're talking about?
That was our form for joining the organization and every, so it's single form. Then a couple.
No, not joining an organization, any Ukrainian veteran for the registration form.
It was a joint form. It was a joint form.
it was the same form. The only thing we did was,
Was not the same.
Yes, it was.
well, no, it's been modified now because it reflects what the organization is right now, but it's.
But there was no request for DD 214, way back.
He requested also.
You requested a DD 214.
Yeah, after we started the registration project, she insisted that the DD 214 be attached to every single application.
Okay, I have the book, the first book that she published, and I'm sure all those people that are there did not submit their DD 214.
They have.
Well, right now, I would say, the issue before the convention is that we had a motion we have a motion that's still pending. And that is to rescind the vote that said we're gonna have the National Executive Board be expanded to have a national registry officer.
Correct.
Because we never ended up formally including that in the constitution bylaws. So at this point, I want to bring it to, unless there's a discussion about that motion, we'll worry about how we actually do the registration in the future. Because again, I know when we do I think it's VFW, all the DD 214s the post commander used to store they were supposed to get rid of them, and anybody in the future would join, and they would only have to show you their DD 214 if they became an officer in that organization. That's how the VFW handled it. How we handle it is going to be up to us how we want to handle it. All right, we ran into other problems. When I was at the convention last year and I sat next to Duke's daughter, who was a Navy commander that was a flight surgeon qualified, Anna Kravchuk originally rejected her membership because she was still on active duty and didn't have a discharge document. She didn't have a DD 214. So that's the problem with our conversation is we have to say, what do we accept as proof that somebody served in the armed forces? If you have a post commander and they have to show them your DD 214, right now, I could tell you the VFW says that's enough.
Mike, just to repeat, the original form, which exists right here, says official registration or application form. And on the bottom says, please return the entire form and copy with the DD 214. And then a couple of conventions ago, we decided this was too cumbersome a process.
Correct.
There were issues with it, and we created a separate application. With the registration form, if we're gonna be using it, and there was a reason why we wanted to do this, because all kinds of people would come and say, well, my uncle served there, my uncle served that, we said we wanted proof, okay? And that book you're talking about, in there are other sources which are undocumented, and she puts it down there. These are sources from
Like an NGB Form 22, for example, and
they're sources of from churches, plaques, and stuff like that. She accepted that
Commander,
as
opposed to the.
we are out of order.
right.
Well,
Commander, we have a motion on the floor and your suggestion of having an SOP put together, and then that could be discussed once we have something tangible in front of us.
I understand. I'm
What we
just
should
I'm trying to steer us back into a pending motion, which is, do we want to rescind the vote from where we think it was the convention of 2021, where we created a position on a National Executive Board, a registration officer? Who wants to vote aye for rescinding it?
Can we reread the motion, because I've actually lost track of the wording?
Okay, the motion is to rescind the National Registry Officer position voted by the 2021 convention.
That's it? That's the entire?
And well, that's the initial motion. Then the proposal is to have the vice commander collect veteran information, and the national historian will archive the information, and a website will be updated to reflect how to do that process.
So we are going to have to come up with a new form. So the vote. I'll vote for it. All right, so who's voting for rescinding the prior 2021 convention vote? Who's against it? So we have 2 against it, and
Peter, your vote?
I'm not, I vote for it. I raised my hand.
Okay, everyone's.
All right, but we have
Favor.
two, so we have two that opposed, but it passed by over a 2/3 majority.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then the committee, when it reconvenes again, will have to come up with how we're gonna make this work, because that's really what the bottom line is. Because that was the mission of the registration project.
It's just come to my attention that some veterans may have not filed their DD 214 in the local courthouse. Those go to the clerk of courts, and over the DD 214, they've registered, and therefore they have actual legal knowledge that you are a veteran representative of the armed forces of the United States. I had to do that when I came home.
And it's free. They don't charge.
Yeah, it's free.
No, it's true, but so maybe that's what has to happen is post commanders need to say, now that you're a member, make sure you file your DD 2, the one, or if they become an officer. Record. Yeah, exactly. Make sure you record it.
But that's not every state.
I didn't think so. That's why I'm being careful
We don't
saying,
do that.
yeah, see, I kind of thought that. That's why I was being careful saying this is what we do in New Jersey, but
Because in New England, we have a veteran service officer in every town and city. He can collect them. The county has nothing to do with this.
yeah, so they collect it on the state level. through veteran
And it goes to
services.
the state, it goes to the adjutant general.
Yeah, and then they, as the agency in charge of that, they're the ones that are the repository. That makes sense.
Yeah, the 214s go directly to the adjutant general. The town service officer has nothing to do with it.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay, that's interesting. All right, so now we've,
Got a motion.
oh, I thought we just,
Are we gonna have a motion on floor to accept the?
Right, the motion was to vote on it.
Yeah, we did.
So we just did.
it did pass by over a 2/3 majority. Oh, do you have one more proposal?
I think that was the only proposal I had. Was there?
No, there was one from Roman about the ladies auxiliary.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Forgive me.
Now we have to vote for the entire constitution and bylaws.
Yeah.
We did.
We did.
Yeah, but there was, I'm sorry, there was a motion
60
also
were hard,
to
apparently.
remove the title from ladies auxiliary to just auxiliary, UAV auxiliary. And that is because there is, as we progress in our organization, we have women that have married to spouses, again, men, and they are not members or veterans of the UAV, but they can be assigned like a auxiliary status. So the intent is to include men and women into the auxiliary, and that was the motion to strike the term ladies from the auxiliary. Yes.
Oh, yeah, what do they think?
Sorry?
What do they think?
Talking, did we speak with the ladies and get their opinion on this? I think we should bring them in here while we are voting on this,
That is,
since they are here.
that is a good point.
Yep, said the one woman that
Yes,
is here. that-
excellent point. So if we could maybe reconvene in 5 minutes and bring them in here.
Bring them
Well, why don't we just wait here and then we'll get it?
Just outside the door.
We can wait here. You don't mind, bring them in.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question, which is a little off topic. When we get all the changes made to the bylaws, what does everybody have to think if I sent a copy of the bylaws to our membership with the next Tribune?
All right. Along with the Tribune.
All right, Walter, there's a question on the floor. You're missing it again. The question is, once we get the changes made to the bylaws and it's all done, I want to know, would people want this bylaws or these bylaws to be added to the Tribune that's going to be mailed out in the next issue?
That, as part of the magazine or it's separate?
That would be part of it. It would be an addendum.
No, as a separate, it'll have to be separate.
So it'd be a separate mail.
Because we have people that we share the Tribune with that have.
Just put it on the website.
Well, I mean, if not,
We have the
I
webmaster.
would propose the website, right?
So it already is on the website and it will be posted on the website once the updates are done. But why don't you put in the Tribune
Yeah.
what the changes were, a summary of the changes?
Yeah, okay.
just write an article, these were the changes.
And refer them to the website for the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's all I want.
Or if they request a hard copy, you can always send it, if you want to put that out.
Well, we could always email it digitally. I mean, then you print it out yourself.
Let it go to the website.
Download it and print it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, let's save ourselves some postage.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I need some announcements of changes. I got that.
I just had, since we're anticipating the ladies auxiliary, how many members of the ladies auxiliary are here during the convention? 8? Yeah, so we have enough that if they tell us one way or the other that it's.
Peter Benzak?
Peter, recognized? You're recognized, Peter.
Okay. As just my comment is, instead of changing the women's auxiliary or ladies auxiliary, if you're the reason for doing that is because they have spouses that want to be part of the organization. For example, we don't use the word auxiliary for our Coast Guard members. We use associate members. Their hat actually reads associate member as opposed to auxiliary. This way, we didn't want to intermix the two, women's auxiliary versus, and we also have one member who volunteers. He used to be with the American Legion, Sons of the American Legion. He's not a vet. He is also an associate member, not an auxiliary.
Doesn't the Constitution recognize the ladies auxiliary as part of the?
Article 8, UAV National Ladies Auxiliary Authorization. The United American Veterans, Inc. authorizes the establishment of an auxiliary organization to be known as the UAV National Ladies Auxiliary. Section 2, the UAV National Ladies Auxiliary shall be under the jurisdiction of the National Executive Board of the Ukrainian American Veterans, Inc. Section 3, elections. The auxiliary shall meet and hold elections of officers in conjunction with the National Convention of the Ukrainian American Veterans. So the ladies auxiliary run their own election, and they're authorized and governed by they're authorized by the UAV, but they're governed by the National Executive Board. So we wanted to ask you ladies, there's been a proposal by the Bylaws Committee to rename the Ukrainian American Veterans National Ladies Auxiliary, to rename it the Auxiliary, the Ukrainian American Veterans Auxiliary versus the old name, which is the Ladies Auxiliary. You ladies have. There has been, by the Bylaws Committee, there has been a proposal based upon that we have female veterans as members to rename the Ukrainian American Veterans Ladies Auxiliary, the United Ukrainian American Veterans Auxiliary. Do you ladies have any thoughts one way or the other?
Yes, we do. We discussed this actually at length. Do you want to come up with?
Yeah, come up to the microphone. No, come up to the front.
Well, come on up, so, because we got people on Zoom, so they can hear you. Come on up.
Just check your weapons in at the door. These are ladies.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, of course. We have people online, so,
Yeah.
Okay,
you have to use the podium.
Go to the podium, microphone. We have
The
people-
world will be
I'll
watching.
back you
We have
up.
people on a Zoom, so we gotta have it.
Is this international or
No,
the world is watching? Okay.
Yes. On national
yes,
TV level.
okay, yeah.
This works.
Well, hello, okay. We discussed this at length because there were several issues that we would consider. And we arrived at the fact that we're not ready to make that change yet at this time because of various logistical reasons.
We
And-
we tabled the matter to another time,
You
because
speak into the microphone.
the issue was tabled to another time because our logo would have to get changed, and we were discussing about ordering shirts, doing whatever that would use that logo. And we are postponing this until the issue comes up, presents itself, and then we would make a decision based on that. Right now, we can't justify it. And, so it's basically been postponed to when the matter comes up, we will discuss it again and make a decision.
Did they identify themselves?
Yeah, who are you?
Yes.
I'm Ganya Dudic.
Any relation?
And Oksana Koziak. It isn't that we don't want to accept, the changes that would allow us to have a larger audience to bring into the membership, because obviously, but we don't know what we're talking about. Are we talking about a few people? Are we talking, I don't think that there's going to be an en masse request to, join the organization. So that's why we're tabling it for this time. Do you want to go ahead with this issue right now, or is it imperative, or can we hold off on that?
Actually have a vote on the floor.
To table it?
I make a motion to table
That's weird.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Could we, in the meantime, could you discuss this in terms of how you see the numbers and everything, so we can plan for that? For the future, even connection. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Men deserve to be treated equally.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. We're not against it. Gentlemen, come forward.
Exactly, there you go. We're gonna have to.
If I may. My own experience, real quick on the matter. So, I recognize that the matter is tabled, but my own experience on this.
Speaking of
My own experience on this. 20 years ago, my wife was called to active service, went to Saudi Arabia, Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, very proud of her. She withstood Scud attacks and everything. Upon her return, I hadn't gone anywhere yet. So I went to the VFW. I said, I'd like to join the auxiliary, because my wife is a member of the VFW. And they said, you can't. It's a ladies auxiliary. 2015, they changed the law. And so they changed the bylaws. Men can now join the VFW auxiliary. While I'm entitled to join the VFW now in my own right, I still intend to join the auxiliary.
You have to transition.
It's in the process. It's a slow process, okay?
No, and Jim Glass has a good point, because I was the mobilization readiness officer at one point for the New Jersey National Guard, both the Air and the Army. The Air pretty much ran their own show, so I pretty much only handled the Army. When we started doing mobilization readiness exercises, and then we mobilized and demobilized units, we ran into the same thing where they were like, what are the ladies gonna do now? And I said, do you realize that the Signal Battalion has, like 30% of, female soldiers? So you had a lot of husbands that were, in the family support groups. That's what they call them, family support groups. So really, the family support group is what we should probably model if we do any kind of future change to the auxiliary. But anyway, it was an interesting discussion, because I don't really know how many members we're expecting. We were just saying that we know there's at least, about a dozen female members of the Ukrainian American Veterans, maybe even more. So there's a potential for at least a dozen male ladies auxiliary
If they're
members.
married.
Yeah, that's true. They would have
So
to be
maybe
married.
fewer.
Right. So you never know. I know when Marta came with me, we're not married, and she's a veteran, but she wanted to see Chicago, so she pretended she was in the auxiliary, went to see Chicago instead of sitting in on a convention. And I'm trying to dime her out, but that's what she did. Anyway, so now.
When we talk about numbers for the UAV, the membership numbers that are in the auxiliary, is that a separate database, or is that also kept up with the vice commander?
They have it.
Is that something that we should be aware of or not? Or-
Yeah, I guess actually, you have a good point. According to the Constitution bylaws,
the repository for our members should also include the ladies auxiliary.
Well, they report to the board, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But who they are,
All right, we'll have to bring that up at a future meeting of the National Executive Board. All right, now, do we have any other
Commander
committee?
Hitchcock,
Yes.
Commander Hitchcock.
You're breaking
up.
up.
For the commander, as long as you're gonna bring up those discussions, I would like to just add another point for the discussion with the ladies auxiliary. And I know it's not under the resolutions, it's more under the, how to run the convention and who gets reimbursed and what the reimbursements are. If, and I'm not sure if this came up yesterday or not, but if a woman's auxiliary member attends the convention, should that woman's auxiliary, and she's not, her husband or spouse is not a member of the board, should she get reimbursed for her travel and hotel, like all the other board members?
No, it's not, no. Currently, there's only one person from the women's auxiliary that is on our letter. That's the president.
So the vice president, Myra Nalavaiko, would not be entitled to travel reimbursements and hotel reimbursements?
I'm saying that currently, as it stands, the only person that was added to our executive board was the president of the women's auxiliary. That was the
Correct.
only person that
But the women's auxiliary has a board, vice president, treasurer, adjutant, whatever. And if those female board members do not have spouses on the board that get reimbursed, yet they travel to the convention, should they be reimbursed for the convention? It's only fair. The UAV board gets reimbursed.
Since I was the president, have never been reimbursed.
I don't know if you heard that, but Oksana says she's never been reimbursed, even though she's on the board.
Because her husband was on the board.
That hasn't been on the board for several years.
Right, and he's not on the board now.
Okay, so
I'm just giving
the point is, should they be reimbursed?
Does seem fair.
Well, all right.
It's just something for your further discussion about the other auxiliary.
Enough for today.
That's a subject that would have to be brought up in the appropriate committee, which would have been the finance committee, which we did convene because we didn't have a finance officer and we didn't have a designated chair for that. So that would have to be brought up at the next convention. It's a valid point, I'm sure. It's just that this isn't the forum for us to.
Well, isn't it important enough that the executive board can take it up upon themselves? To do what?
It would, all right. When you look at finance, which is Article 10, you would have to modify I would assume the Constitution bylaws. I didn't look it up. I don't know where it is, but I know that special meetings have a 50% reimbursement for officers of the National Executive Board. Special meetings may be held upon reasonable notice by the national commander. Or
Page 7.
Yes, page 7.
Section 10, paragraph E.
Paragraph.
Only elected National Executive Board officers, the national adjutant, and the immediate past national commander shall be reimbursed mileage and lodging expenses as prescribed by the National Executive Board. So this would require a change to
Yes.
the bylaw.
So, and we're not authorized in a regular National Executive Board meeting to do that. We're only authorized by the Constitution bylaws to make changes at a convention. So we would have to wait till the next convention.
Joe, put the mic back on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. So we'll have to wait till the next convention.
Do you want it now?
Yes, that's true. As a matter of fact, that's what I was gonna ask next. Do we have the
I
money?
mean, we're not gonna have anything from the floor.
I mean, if somebody wants to bring it from the floor, it has to be unanimous.
That's fine. Does that mean we're not allowed to do it?
I guess
It's up to the,
I have two motions to make, and, I'd like
Okay,
the opportunity to
again.
present them. I thought we were still doing, changes to the bylaws.
We're doing
No,
committee
I thought the
reports.
bylaws were already.
So I'm not allowed to bring up a new thing to
No.
address the floor?
That would be new business.
Okay, thank you.
Business.
All right,
That would be,
cool.
that's coming up.
well, new business is coming up.
I got it.
Yeah.
So you can bring it up in new business.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just briefly, UAV, National Monument Resolution. The monument will be 10 years old next year in 2025. Therefore, the UAV should hold a ceremony at the monument next year. That's my resolution.
How many people here were on the monument committee?
Matt?
Yeah, four.
What time of year would that be, General?
2025 next year.
What time of year?
Whenever.
Oh, September.
Well, yeah, whenever we have the next convention. We don't know if it'll be September or October. We'll have to find out. There's gonna be an exploratory committee to find out.
Yeah, the
when.
1 year anniversary, 10-year anniversary, I believe is September 12th, 2025.
That's right.
Yes, it was.
Okay, well. But it is interesting that we have 4 people from the original monument committee that was formed, and how long ago was that formed? I think it's 20 years ago.
No, 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago, yeah.
Monument is less than years ago.
Just the real, fast point of order, because the banquet starts at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
2:30 already, so, let's rock and roll.
Well, this was the last committee, are there any other committees that want to present their resolutions?
No, I don't think. so.
Being done, we go to old business. We start a general meeting. Do we have any old business that we need to address at the convention? No old business? Do we have any new business that we'd like to address at the convention? Joe?
Yeah.
I'm back.
So I'd like to propose 2 changes to the Constitution and bylaws. One is the paragraph that we just discussed about reimbursing the ladies auxiliary for travel. And I'd like to make the motion that we adjust the appropriate paragraph, which I don't have in front of me, I apologize. That the president.
Section 10, subparagraph E.
Section 10, subparagraph E
Of Article 2.
of Article 2.
Correct.
That it would be amended to include the president of the ladies auxiliary, that she would also be reimbursed for her travel expenses.
Wait a minute.
The president of the ladies auxiliary, one person, be reimbursed as a member of the National Executive Board.
This is just a motion, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have a second from Zabrowski.
Okay, Michael Dombrowski seconds the motion.
Is there
Any discussion?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, one thing, throw into that also, that as long as her spouse is not on the executive board themselves.
Double dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not double dipping it. Cause like when Matt was on the board,
That makes sense.
he got the money, but now that he's no longer on the
If
board,
he's
now she,
submitted.
now she can get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still haven't submitted.
There's actually no wording in the Constitution and bylaws right now to address double dipping.
There
So,
isn't.
so,
There's no wording in there right now to address being reimbursed either.
yes, there is.
Yeah, there is.
Paragraph I just read.
Right here, right
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
I would like to suggest that you should throw in the assistant as well as the vice of the ladies auxiliary in case she can't be here. If the president can't be here, her substitute should be coming here, so that would. be
Okay, I'll amend the motion to include her substitute.
Vice.
Peter Benzak, second.
Second. Sir?
Discussion about reimbursing it. President of Women's Auxiliary has a spouse on the executive board that the spouse, the male member would be reimbursed. That's true if they travel by vehicle and same hotel room, but if they have to travel by plane, does the airline ticket for both get covered? Or-
It's total travel, Walter.
Just for one.
It's,
Well, I'm saying if the woman's auxiliary president and her spouse are both on the executive board committee, will both of them get reimbursed for plane tickets?
Just one.
Or just one if they travel by auto? In a
just
single car?
one
Okay.
regardless.
Yeah.
Plane, auto, bus, train, one of the two who would be on the board would be reimbursed.
Okay, just one
Just
person.
one of the two.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, it's been seconded, it's been amended, it's been seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I was gonna say, the ladies auxiliary could get money back on the trip here based on case by case. In other
No.
words, if the,
We have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion, let's vote on
All
it.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So we don't have to wait till next convention.
You got another one?
Second amendment I'd like to make, and this is not fully fleshed out in my mind, but I would like to propose that the members at large become a post, separate, just like every other numbered post, in that it would have its own officers and its own budget and collect dues as a group.
Question.
Sir.
Are they issued a post number too, also?
If they're members at large, so no.
Makes sense.
No.
It does not make sense.
No, it doesn't.
The MAL post.
That's what it is now.
They pay the dues to the post, whatever, that they belong to.
They don't belong to a post. That's the whole point. So that they would, this would actually codify that they would actually belong to a post. That post would be the post MAL, members at large post.
Okay.
And that it would have its own officers. Right now, the members meet at the whim of the vice commander. We have a vice commander that's pretty active and has scheduled one. The last vice commander was very active, Matt Ruski, thank you, also scheduled meetings. Prior to that, the MALs never met. The MALs don't have a budget. The MALs don't have special projects. The MALs don't do anything. We get together, we talk on Zoom, nothing happens. Unlike the other posts that actually meet, there's camaraderie, you actually have projects, you do things. There's no ability to do that right now. And I'd like to codify that so that if we actually have that ability and do something other than just get together and talk for now.
So,
Yes, sir.
how do you envision them getting financed?
So the same way we collect our dues right now online.
So the dues for that online post would be collected and would be available to their executive.
That's correct. That's correct. MALs pay their dues online now, or they can send a check.
So how would they do elections and how would they meet?
They meet just like they do now on Zoom.
And who would orchestrate that?
The new post commander.
No, okay, but how would they have the elections for the news post commander and everybody else? How would they do that?
That would have to be done under the auspices of the current vice
Okay.
commander. There's a question in the back.
Yeah, being a MAL member, it would seem to me that you're asking the MAL members to make a donation or a membership every year to the post. Is that correct?
That would be the only way to have funds for the post, for the post to fund itself. That's correct. And that's what real, I won't say real posts. That's what numbered posts do now. They actually have post dues in addition to the national dues.
Okay, now,
I believe it's about $10, something like that per post, right? I don't know.
well, the
It's-
thing that concerns me based on being a participant in some of these Zoom meetings. And I don't oppose what you're saying, I like the idea, but in practicality, we have 54, 55 members of
40
the
some.
MAL, and the number of respondents that we have on these Zoom meetings is about 5, maybe
No,
4.
7, we're at 7 on the last
We're
one.
making progress, now it's up, woo-hoo. But, so if we put into something like, okay, you gotta pay dues, you don't pay dues, you're out. You know what's gonna happen? That Excel spreadsheet's gonna shrink enough to about 5 people.
Yeah, but we don't, the dues would be set by the members. They decide whether they want to put the dues there or not. You got the national dues, but the post dues are set by the post.
Okay,
So the national dues, for example, you charge your members $30, 25 gets forwarded to national. You get to keep 5 for whatever activity you're doing or whatever dollar amount you set.
and to Roman's point, if the members don't want to charge dues, don't charge dues.
Right. And another case in point, 3 years ago, we had MALs pay their dues, and there was about $1,000 that came in. Last year, there was about $800. This year, we have $50. So it seems like MALs, only 2 MALs paid dues this year. The others, whoever paid the $1,000 or the $800, for some reason aren't paying or dropped out.
Thank you, Peter. And to Peter's point, we don't have a finance officer to chase those people down.
And that's my question is, who's going to collect the dues and maintain a checking account and
That's
disperse
the
monies if you need to do some projects?
That would be just like any other post. They would have to open a bank account.
Right, I know that, but how do you do that for somebody?
I don't know about you, but I belong to USAA. I can use that anywhere around the world.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying, let's say you're writing a check to somebody, you got your finance officer, he's collecting dues in, all right? And if you have a project that you're working on that somebody else needs to do, are you gonna be cutting that person a check or something of that nature to, and,
For me personally, I would use Venmo, but
okay, all right, I'm just trying to figure out the mechanics of how this all would work out.
if there's no further discussion, can we call vote?
Well, just, again, I mean, you have to reference the Constitution and bylaws. State and post organization is under Article 7. And it does say the National Executive Board may establish posts in the territorial and insular possessions of the United States and in foreign countries. So if we're gonna do this, that means we have to have the committee make a change to the Constitution and bylaws.
We have an MAL who lives in Ireland right now.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that if we're not around and our successors are discussing the MAL post, there has to be something in the Constitution and bylaws that defines what that is. So
That's the point of my change.
Actually, I don't think looking at the Constitution, I don't think we actually need a vote to establish MALs as a post. The MALs can petition for a charter, from the National Executive Board. And then the National Executive Board deals with it just like they did with 43 or any of the other posts.
Good point.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's what we have to agree on is the formality is. I understand what you're proposing, but we have to.
Right now, the Constitution bylaws says that the MALs are organized under the vice commander. It's one of his duties. That needs to be changed.
So my question is, has anybody asked the MALs their opinion about whether they want to do this? Like, how many do we have?
I think we have 7 MALs at this meeting.
You're gonna have 5 right? You have to have 5 to set up a post.
We have 50 MALs and then currently, there are, like I said, I believe there's 7 at the
The
meeting.
membership is, the vote shall be 5 veterans in any community.
Roman is, myself, sorry,
George.
George,
George.
and,
Eric Wahoda.
Eric. We actually had somebody else on the line earlier, and Brandon.
Brandon.
So we probably have the most representation short of post 101 right now.
Individual. Well.
Can we get more members to pay more dues?
You need a little bit more detail, I would think.
This could be too hard to do.
Can we do a motion to do the mechanics and research of this and then present it at the next convention? Vote on?
Yeah, hey, Joe, how about if I make a motion, just table it till next convention, we'll flush it out.
Flush it up. Because
Exactly how everything needs to be worded, and take it from there.
Yeah, or else we're gonna be basically lost in the sauce on this.
And we'll be sitting here at 7 o'clock with the food getting cold.
Yeah, thank
No, good.
The banquet will be over by
I have no problem with it, as long as I have a document that says how it's gonna be organized, and that we can then incorporate it into a change into the bylaws for the next year. If that's doable.
Okay, there's a motion to table.
Motion to table to next convention.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Nice try, Gene. I know the feeling.
Well presented.
All right, do we have any other new business?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hold on, Ihor had something, he brought it up earlier. Ihor Rutger was in line first.
I want to propose that we establish either a board or a commission on the UAV Humanitarian Fund at a national level. And I propose that the membership initially be organized by past national commanders.
Wasn't there a motion earlier to dissolve the?
I have a feeling that, Ehud wasn't present during that time.
So yesterday, Ihor, there was a motion, and I believe it was approved to dissolve the national, because it was actually losing money every year.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Guess that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, Michael.
Michael?
Yeah, we're gonna have a convention next year.
Well, we were proposing to have it in Bound
Oh.
And what we need to do is have a post or.
With the executive board.
A microphone?
No, fine.
The question was by Michael Dobronsky, were we having a convention next year? And the answer is yes. And it was proposed, and there was a resolution by the monument officer that we should have a ceremony at the National Monument. So I would say that we propose to have the convention at Bound Brook, which is where the National Monument is, South Bound Brook, New Jersey.
Who's hosting it?
Well, that's just it. We need to have somebody that would volunteer to host it.
That's on board. It's either gonna be post-17 or national executives. That's the way you go.
All right, so post-17, I guess, when you have a meeting, or did we decide that we're all gonna host it?
Well, post-17 agreed to host it if it was assigned to us. It's yours. Yeah, and offer to take that committee.
All right, so post-17, and then we just have to find out the availability, to find out what the dates will be. That's the answer to your question. And do we have any other new business?
You want me to say something?
No.
Good.
I would just like to.
Did you want to ask about the?
Yeah, I
Ukrainian
can
Congress?
go over that real quick.
You go front, please.
Twisted my arm, you saw that. They have UKK convention next year. They haven't had one in 8 years, and they're gonna nominate, who's gonna. Huh? Yeah, I mean, they haven't had one in 8 years. This is gonna be 8 years. That's all, and it's gonna be in October, the 10th going to about the 12th. And so they're gonna elect supposedly a new president. You got Foutte that's in there now, and I don't know who's gonna run against him, but he's been the president for 8 years. That's when we joined UKK 8 years ago. But the only problem, we have some issues with them. We haven't been paying our dues. As a national organization, we were supposed to be paying $250. So, I don't know how many years we missed. I think it's about 4 years, maybe in the beginning we were paying. but we haven't been paying, and if you don't pay your dues, you're not able to vote. Okay, so that seems to be one problem. Now, the other problem, Mike and I discussed it,
Do we have to pay back dues?
well, that's what they're saying.
Oh, they did say that? I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, that may come out to $1,000 back dues.
Oh, is that what they said, Nick?
Who told you that, Nick?
What was that?
Who told you that? Who told you, who from Ukata told you?
Andrei Dobriansky, when I gave him a call. I discussed this with him in terms of, not you, not Dobransky, but Dobriansky.
We could tell Michael Dobransky said that. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, that's his twin brother, so don't say too much. So so we have a lot of issues, so we decided with Mike that I would go there and, you know, try to see what they want. Basically, we know that we're not UKK, we don't do the same things that they do, but we make a contribution to UKK. That's our role. We want to have a presence there, but we're not there to run the organization or tell them what to
Hold on a
do.
second. There's
Because
supposed to
it's
be
totally a
rotation.
political organization.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be every 3 years, one of the member organizations is supposed to take over running it.
That's not the way they operate.
Well, yeah, but that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that used to be in the old days when they put all the, organizations together, where there was, the Women's League, or you had the veterans, or you had the political groups in there. All right,
Nick, you said that they're a political organization, so why are we belonging to a political organization?
well, because we want to have a presence there, because the reason is, up in Yonkers and throughout the United States, most of us participate in UKK events as veterans. We do the color guard, we have a presence with them, but we don't want to get locked up with them in terms of politically.
I need to correct a few things. We officially joined Ukata. The fact that we haven't paid our dues on a timely basis is a different issue. So what are we saying? Well, what's the issue? There's no issue. We
All
are.
right, the way I understood the new business that Nick and I talked about was, Nick has been our liaison.
talk in the
with
microphone?
UKK. Nick has been our liaison with the UKK, and the new business that I understood was gonna be proposed is that he wants to attend a convention, and will we pay for him as a delegate to the convention?
Right.
Yeah.
So why do we need a vote on that?
Well, we would have to authorize that we were gonna, because, I mean, it's not.
Isn't that an NEB action?
You know what I'm saying? It's under my command.
Well, all right, the other issue,
Executive for decision.
okay,
I
Not
agree.
our decision. It's not our decision. We don't need to vote on whether the executive board sends Nick to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the past, people didn't want to join UKK.
No, you're confusing. The issue is whether you get paid to go. I say, let the executive board decide.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Is part of that paying the
We
back
don't
pay?
need to. We don't need to.
That's another
And-
separate issue,
and
but yeah.
people pay back dues, you figure it out.
We have a hand up over there.
And if we're in arrears for the dues, then you're just there as an observer then, because you have no vote, because we didn't pay dues. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're just there, to find out what the UKK organization stands for, how they're organized, and to see where we can fit in from the community side, from the national side. Otherwise, we're just floating out there and we don't know how they operate. We want to make a connection. And you want to put all the Ukrainian organizations under the UKK umbrella. Whether they're involved politically or not, doesn't make a difference. But on a community level, all of you guys are involved in UKK, period.
So if we don't pay our dues, you do not get a vote, you're just there to observe.
Yeah, I'll talk to Andrei again. Maybe he could slide, that we don't pay the past dues and just go in there somehow and vote. Zenko. Wait, we got Zenko on the floor. Totally aware of what's going on internally. Just recently, less than a month ago, this is an issue, part of the board of the time in Washington DC at one of the political conferences. Grabbed a journalist by the name of Robert Morse and beat the shit out of him. He was arrested. What he said that he is representing Ukaka. Do you want to be mixed up with a bunch of idiots? We
already are.
But I don't really are. I would recommend not to pay. What do you get for being a member of Ukaka?
Nothing.
They're gonna start hitting you for donations for, Southfield going to Kyiv and Tamara going to Florida. What the hell do we have to do with that?
Look,
they haven't had-
Off the subject.
They haven't had a national convention in 8 years. It's not like. They didn't have a national convention.
No, the new business is our liaison, Nick Skirka. All right, so we don't need the authorization of the convention to pay,
Right.
but we wanted to bring up that the convention is coming up and Nick is going to
I'm
be-
willing to go over there. I'm a delegate with Mike.
I might show up there for
Yeah, for
Saturday
Saturday.
because,
Outside
Outside of-
Yeah.
yeah, it's outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, Lansdale, Hatfield. I think that's where we had our veterans convention 2 years ago. No?
No, it's a different place, but
Commander, this is a journal matter for NEB, let's take offline.
yeah, so any other details is a National Executive Board issue. We wanted to bring out, the way I understood the new business, that Nick was gonna be attending that, and I might
Right.
show up for one day. So it's just for people to know what's happening.
How did it occur that we didn't pay the dues? They just didn't.
That's a good point.
We haven't billed.
I think the former vice commander wasn't paying attention.
No, wait, Jerry was paying dues, then when we switched over, we had all the issues. Yeah, well, that was the problem. That's what Peter said. I need an invoice and we were, I thought we were just gonna be paying and, yeah, they didn't give us, that's a good argument that I could use over there.
They probably weren't organized to give us an invoice.
There you go. That's true.
They didn't have
All
a
right,
convention.
anyway, the new business was, we thank Nick for being the liaison and for keeping us up to date. Yeah.
Or throw any eggs, whatever you do.
Well, somebody said that, Ukaka is a war organization, and the convention is in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
And there will be no political shenanigans by either party involved with Ukaka by them, because Pennsylvania is very important to everybody that's running. So
Yeah, well-
we can be assured that we will remain neutral, we will not.
Exactly.
We will not be involved in any political.
I agree with you 100%. We just want to find out what they're all about and participate in the events throughout the whole year.
Yeah, just so you know, if you go to the UKK site, we are one of the organizations that they,
Right.
and then also when we did the Holodomor March, they used our photographs. Of
Right.
course, I kind of liked, since it was me, but that's just me. No, but seriously, we don't really know where we fit in with the Ukrainian Congress Committee of
Right.
America. But the executive board will take up the issue probably by email vote, because it's in 2 weeks, about funding this or not. So that'll be up to us to do that on the executive
Right.
board. Andre?
Just out of curiosity, you're saying it's a political organization, there's 2 parties. What parties are we talking about?
It's not 2 parties, it's 1 party.
It's the band of what parties are we talking about?
Yeah, I forgot that, huh?
Right, usually it's these parties. Well, you said 2 parties.
Could I make a recommendation? Why can't we invite the rep to the next convention? Give us a short show and tell, so we can all be educated as.
And by the way, that's, the suggestion is, why don't we invite an UKK representative to the convention to explain what our role really is? And when we joined, we did have Andrei Dobryansky show up.
Yeah, he did. He showed up to a few of our conventions. I know he was in Connecticut, just to go back, and then he was in Ohio about 8 years ago when he was running for the presidency. They do show up, yeah, and he came to Yonkers too. Andrei Patay was in Yonkers at our convention.
Sounds like everything on the East Coast.
Oh, you're right, maybe you don't like Michigan. No, but no, they've been going, you know, most of the time they're
They
there.
haven't done anything.
All right, well,
for
anyway,
10 years.
we'll get a report from Nick if the executive board.
Right,
wants
if you
it,
don't want. to pay the
what happened
bills,
at the
yeah,
convention.
that's it.
It's on the, it's on the 10th, 11th, 12th of October outside of Philadelphia.
That's
Maybe
it.
he's gonna provide a little
So do
eye
we have-
candy, you know.
Yeah, well, you never
Make us
know.
look good.
All right.
Maybe I'll get nominated as president over there.
So do we have any other new business for the convention?
I have one thing.
Oh,
I would like to have a unanimous consent to thank Matt
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
for his hospitality
Oh, yeah.
and for the hard work that went into it, the accommodations. I even heard from the ladies auxiliary members. They were overjoyed with the things that were prepared for them. They were a little disappointed that the trip with to the museum was canceled, but that's out of your control. But, the facilities are wonderful, the meals are great, and I'm sure, anticipating a good time tonight. But big kudos and thank you.
Did they get a chance to attend the rally?
Also, when you gentlemen see my wife, you can pat her on the back and say thank you.
I mean, I gotta raise my sight.
Yes, I did, thank you.
Just so everybody knows,
Come on my side over there.
so on the schedule, we have, what is it called, happy hour or cocktail? From five, yeah, from 5 to 5:30. It's cocktail. No. 5 to 5, so I did bring my message. All right, so 5:30, 17:30 hours, starting the program. I should have told, military time, not Ukrainian time. When all the programs and performances are completed. All right? So, oh, wait a minute, we do still have business to finish before everybody leaves.
Oh.
Eddie's. We don't have the chaplain here, Father Kuschak, Father Ivan.
Can I do one thing?
We have a chaplain.
Real quick.
I
have some stuff to give away.
Oh, you have some stuff to give away? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I apologize for not bringing this up, and I
Yeah.
apologize for bringing it up so late. I have 2 UAV shirts that are too large for me. These are size medium. They're really size large. I'm not a size large. I'm barely a size medium. Would anyone like these? They're free.
Too small for me.
One,
Think.
All
who
right.
would like the other one? Two. Thank you very much. All right.
But,
I'll give it to one of the.
Commander,
do we
keep our
covers on this evening or not?
I think we should wear the covers.
Yeah,
It's,
yes.
what do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
we're all-
Yeah. I think,
Up to you. What do you think?
I think we should wear the covers because it's a banquet for our convention.
Yeah.
We want to be on the same page.
During the dinner?
No.
Yes.
Hey, take it off.
Oh, no, while you're eating, yeah.
While
Yes,
you're eating.
you uncover.
What's the point then?
All right, in that case,
No
for the
covers.
banquet.
Is it one more thing to carry
Wait,
around?
No covers for dinner or covers?
No.
No covers for
covers.
dinner.
We leave them in the hotel.
Now, every year, one of the things, again, Father Ivan isn't here, our chaplain, but we remember our deceased members, and I would ask our vice commander to read off the names.
All right, please rise.
Please rise and uncover. This may not be a complete list. This is what I've received. Michael Shalevsky, Roman Cheap, Roman Vasilishin, Miron Voronovich, Theodore Kotsur, George Pashuk, Joseph Buchma, Mary Scott, John Gaba, Ihor Kotlerchuk, Stefan Mixamyuk.
There are additions.
George Krajka, Chicago. John Polick, Chicago.
We lost 3 in Philadelphia. Vladimir Bielous, Andrew Kapustyak, and Roman Kokolsky. And they are listed on our page in the journal.
Yes, and by the way, there's a nice write-up. Post 17, I think you have several deceased members. Well,
No, what it is I didn't catch it off of their list. This is what I had,
yeah, no,
you know, it's. Go
all
ahead.
right,
Post 24, just very recently, September 20th, Michael Zadoretsky, age 106.
Wow.
Passed away. Been recognized so far in the media by the city of Parma, the American Legion Post, Post 24, of course, and many others. There will be more information coming a little bit later, as soon as all this is known and written up.
well, do you remember, it was Pete Babadoc, right?
Yeah, Peter died, he was in the Navy. Michael died, I don't remember which service he was in. Revolution died, and.
What's his name, though? What's his first name? Do you know?
I'm not taking this very seriously.
All right, you know what? We'll have to read their names next year, because it's not proper for us to,
Very serious.
yeah, we need to have the full name of the person. But that's okay.
Members which I submitted.
Do you have that
What's
number?
so hard to pick up the sheet and read it?
And when was it submitted?
Yes.
Thank you. You're supposed to notify the chaplain and myself when there's a death in the post. So the chaplain can do what he's gonna do and we can keep everything accurate.
We still remember them, but we'll have to formally, list them in the next convention. Do we have any other?
That's it.
So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we want?
We have a chapel like this. Oh. Do you have your own prayer?
I got mine on. You on the go up.
Chaplain.
Phone cover, please, sir.
Andrei, take your hat off.
Here.
Andrei.
Phone cover, please.
Is that from the SOP? Because I already got it from the SOP.
Almighty God, the time has come when our convention deliberations have ended. Make us worthy of your grace so that we may accomplish the deeds set before us. Protect us, O Lord of mercy, so that we may return again to deliberate and fulfill the sacred cause of democracy, justice, and freedom. We commit ourselves to your care and keeping now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. And I just want to remind everybody, again, we have the the cocktail from 5 to 5:30, and then afterwards the banquet.
5 o'clock,
And
5:30, 5 o'clock is time.
did I say 5 to 5:30?
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody online.
And I want to give everybody a chance. We're going to be presenting a plaque to the ladies of